evening. Otago University may be facing severe roll cuts next year unless the government changes its stance on funding, according to Vice-Chancellor Sir Robin Irvin. Sir Robin told today's University Council meeting the university is already $18 million underfunded and there's a prospect of a further 10% rise in student numbers next year. The government's Learning for Life education restructuring also came in for heavy criticism. Sir Robin described it as a recipe for mediocrity and bureaucracy gone mad. It would, he said, make New Zealand the laughingstock of the international academic community. The idea that towns turn themselves into limited liability companies is being considered in Lawrence. It's an idea that originated in the depressed Strathclyde area of Scotland. Now, as Mark Price reports, a small group of people in Lawrence are working out how it might work in their town.
It's suggested a town like Lawrence could set up a company with the people of the town as shareholders. It would then use its assets and labour force in a business-like way to benefit the town. Using shareholders and government funds, the company would operate two sorts of businesses, those that make a profit and those that don't quite make a profit but are nevertheless important to the town. That might include a bank. The town's bank building's owned locally, the staff are still in town, it's just the BNZ that's gone. The town has a couple of farm properties that could be part of the profit-making side of the company. And then there are services like rubbish collection. The company could tender to provide services and make money that way. Some Lawrence people believe it's an idea with a lot of potential.
Well, Lawrence was unfortunate enough to lose its post office and bank. A community business company could actually set up its own bank. They have done this overseas. They've taken on garages, they've taken on retail shops. So where a service has gone out of the town, the community company has gone back into the town and kept that facility there, which is a tremendous idea.
A big public meeting in the town on Wednesday night will be looking at the town's options. It's suggested that putting LTD after the name is one of the better options.
Balclutha has been chosen as the unlikely location for a major training course for the country's ambulance officers. The South Otago Hospital was selected as the most suitable venue for the 6-week course after training coordinators had looked at hospitals around the country. Sally Pears joined the course as it was getting underway in Balclutha.
As broad as the health cuts are, the training of ambulance officers has so far escaped unscathed. The 24 officers on this course are students from Auckland's Technical Institute, but they all work for ambulance units up and down the country. The 6-week course is an intensive one, which includes 8 tough exams. Some training takes place in the classroom. The officers learn what their role is and how best to deal with the darker aspects of the job.
The problem that we have is if we start taking shortcuts, it's going to cost the person their life.
And there's further practical training in the field.
And you can select the flow that you want. And if the scenario was that this fell over, it's not going to be broken or anything like that.
The South Otago Hospital in Balclutha was chosen above other hospitals around the country. According to training coordinators, it's the perfect teaching environment.
Within the Polytech system, when you're teaching people, you try and teach them within the environment that they'll be working. Ambulance officers actually treat people within a home environment, out on streets, within industrial complexes, and all of that exists within this hospital system.
The hospital's general manager says he's also pleased South Otago was chosen, not simply because it's a boost for the South, but it will also create much-needed revenue.
It has a great flow-on effect through the hospital because it uses the facilities which we've got available to us, and it also assists our own nurses and our own hospital people.
And if health cuts continue to bypass the training operation, both parties hope to continue to work together.
There are some busy people in Queenstown this week as work nears completion on a $200,000 plus refit of one of the area's major tourist attractions. The vintage steamer Earnslaw will return to service on Saturday with some big changes to its catering facilities, as John McDermott reports.
For the past 5 weeks, the Lady of Lake Wakatipu has sat alongside the Queenstown Bay Wharf while undergoing her annual facelift. There have been the usual wide range of maintenance jobs that are an annual event in the life of a coal-fired steamer. But there's also been a major innovation. The owners, Fiordland Travel, have responded to what they see as an increasing desire by tourists for quality dining and drinking aboard the Earnslaw. A lot of new equipment is going into the kitchens, much of it designed to cater for food that can be produced quickly. The 76-year-old steamer is also being fitted with an extensive plastic reticulation system that will carry drinks from storage areas in the bells to the two main bars. The bigger of these on the top deck will become the new focal point for food and drink distribution. If it all works out, the company will spend a lot more on its food systems when the Earnslaw goes up on the slipway next winter.
And an Eden singing teacher who's gone public with her concern over musicians' use of performance-enhancing drugs has stirred up a controversy. While some musicians were shocked to learn their colleagues used beta blockers, others admit their use by performers under pressure is widespread. Kathy Graham reports.
When the performing arts go out on the playing field, it's a novelty and it's fun. But when the pressure goes on, it seems sport and the performing arts do have something in common. High flyers in both areas are said to be using performance-enhancing drugs. Dunedin singing teacher Kathleen Dawson says even local musicians use beta blockers to calm nervous tension.
Okay, we get tremendous technical brilliance if people are calm, but there's no soul in the music, and just as an audience, I object to that. But it's also a form of cheating, I think, and especially when you're dealing with competitions which entail lots of money.
I personally prefer not to take anything before a concert. I like the feel of a concert, and adrenaline is something that makes concert artists work perhaps even more efficiently. I don't know about that, but in my case it adds a certain excitement, and I don't like the thought of anything deadening that.
Musicians like Pamela Bryce, who've performed overseas, say the use of beta blockers is widespread. They're prescribed medically for hypertension. And she says there are no damaging side effects like the anabolic steroids athletes take illegally.
I've taken them on rare occasions and I found no ill effect or any side effects. In fact, one pill only lasts about an hour and a half or 2 hours, just for the length of the performance, and then you're back to normal.
So as far as you're concerned, it's acceptable for a performing artist to do that?
I would say if they've tried a lot of other things, I mean, I would use it as a last resort anyway. If the say, student can't cope and feels that they really want to be a performing musician and this aspect is getting them down, then yes, I would recommend that they at least try one. I mean, it can do no harm.
Kathleen Dawson says any drug taking is harmful. If mature musicians are taking beta blockers, the young are even more at risk. But other musicians say if they work, there's no great harm.
In fact, these do not take the nervousness away. All they do is take away the sort of manifestations of it, the shaking things, the things that we don't want to be there, the things that actually harm the performance. So I think beta blockers do actually enhance the performance because they subtract the ill effects.
We'll be back tomorrow. Good night.